Update. My wife's best friend is developing feelings for me, and my wife doesn't believe me. Original post. Okay, yes. I'm aware I'm going to sound arrogant and like a narcissist. Get over it. My wife and I have known each other for about 20 years. We've dated for 9 and have been married for 5. She has known her best friend Dana since the end of high school, early college. They are like sisters. Dana has horrible luck with guys, abusive relationships, toxic relationships. She's had it all, and then some. I know this because she vents about it to my wife and me all the time. Recently, she just got through a particularly rough relationship, after which she decided she was no longer going to date and would just be single for a while. She began making comments to my wife about how lucky she is to have me and how good it must feel to have a supportive, caring, loving man in her life to take care of her. That's when her behavior began to change. She has become very clingy to me. She never was before. When she comes over, resting her head on my shoulder, sitting on my lap. She tells me all the time that I make her feel safe and comfortable. She always asks how my day is going, if I'm happy to see her, or how I think her body looks in her outfit, which she kind of did before, but now she draws attention to her feminine areas. A joke was made by my wife about Dana being my second wife to do all the things my wife doesn't feel like doing. Dana jumped on this and now often refers to herself as second wife. My wife thinks it's funny, and it was, until Dana sent me a picture of her ring she wanted, saying, "Because even your second wife needs a ring." I have brought all this up to my wife because I don't want to keep her in the dark about anything. She just says things like, "Hey, that's just her," or she doesn't mean anything by it. My fear is that Dana is getting something she's never gotten from any of her past relationships. Comfort, validation, safety, and that she will become attached to this sort of fantasy. I don't want my wife to think I'm doing anything behind her back, but as I have stated, she just brushes it all off. Am I just being too observant, or is there something there my wife isn't seeing? Thoughts? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. As a female with a lot of guy friends, there is a huge difference in confiding with someone and then sitting in someone's lap. That to me seems like there's more to it. I'd chat with your wife and see where she stands with it. She brushes it all off. I have brought up everything that has happened, left nothing out. You're also allowed to have boundaries. Just because she's okay with it, and even if your wife is, doesn't mean you are, and that deserves to be respected. I find it odd she doesn't see anything weird about it. Females are hyper aware of what they're doing. Your wife's friend has absolutely no business sitting on your lap, resting her head on you, or getting physically close in any way. That kind of behavior is completely inappropriate, and if you're allowing it, then you're part of the problem. You need to set firm boundaries with this friend and make it clear that this kind of interaction is not okay. Let your wife know you're doing this too. If she brushes it off or says it's not a big deal, bring up the concept of consent and personal boundaries, and ask how she would feel if your male best friend was getting physical with her, because this clearly crosses a line. If it's making you uncomfortable, then that is enough. Honestly, the way this is playing out feels off. It's possible that the friend, and maybe even your wife, are up to something, or at the very least, are being disrespectful. It's worth sitting down with both of them and having an open conversation about how uncomfortable this situation makes you feel. Your wife should be on your side. If she's not, that's a serious red flag, and you may need to take a step back and reevaluate the relationship. Now for the first update. First, thank you for everyone's input and advice on my situation. On that note, there are some questions I keep seeing, so I will answer a few below. Sitting in my lap. This has only happened twice. Both instances were at parties where there was no seating left where I was sitting. I actually offered her my seat, which she accepted and sat on my lap. Yes, both times were in front of my wife, and she thought it was funny. So rather than make a scene by kicking her off, I waited until an opportunity came, needed more food or drink, bathroom, etc. Is she hot or am I attracted to her? By society standards, she would be considered very attractive. By those same standards, my wife might not be considered as attractive. That being said, my wife is exactly what I want in a woman, just speaking physically for the moment. My wife is short, has very pale skin, long curly brown hair, and is not skinny because of the children we've had together. I love my wife the way she is, and we are working together to help her lose the baby fat she wants to shed. Dana, on the other hand, is taller than me. I'm 5'10", has tan skin, straight dirty blonde hair, and is skinny. Again, attractive, just not what I'm into. Okay, for the update, I talked to my wife about everything going on and my concerns, using some points people brought up in the comments. Turns out my wife is aware of the situation and is actually partially behind it. Apparently, she brought up the idea of using me to show her best friend what to look for in a guy, thinking it was a good idea, but it's gone a little farther than she expected. Forgive her, she had good intentions. So, we're both going to sit down with Dana and talk about everything the next time she comes over. That's pretty messed up for her to not let her partner in on the joke. If he really is such a good guy, why doesn't she treat him that way? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Especially if you want to take the angle of judging the wife by the company she keeps. She and her friend must be on some level peas in a pod in this area, no? Wonder what else she'll use him for. Wonder what else will get out of hand. Wonder what other tests she'll run with him as an unsuspecting guinea pig. Really does make you wonder, doesn't it? Of course, I have considered this. Things will be discussed when we all sit down and talk. Good. Charitably, it's possible that she hasn't even really fully realized what happened here. Hopefully, once she's had a chance to see it from an outside perspective, she'll understand. Props for being willing to sit down and talk about it. That's always the way to make things better. Your wife's behavior is really messed up here. Everyone answering like, yay, threesome. And I'm just imagining if my husband told his male friend he could use me to see what a good relationship is like, without ever discussing it with me, told his friend he could be extra cuddly with me and pull me into his lap, and then brushed it off when I flagged that it made me uncomfortable. What is wrong with you all acting like this is fine? Yes, we had a long conversation about it. She is very remorseful and can't believe she didn't see it from my perspective. Final update. Firstly, thank you everyone for your good advice. This will be the last update to this crazy series of events. Now let's get to what you're all waiting for, the update. Dana came over, and we all sat down at the table. The kids were at their aunt's for the night. I stated that I wanted everything to come out, all the cards on the table. I wanted to know everything. So this is what went down. Dana has always had awful luck with men. She vents to me and my wife about it all the time. During a conversation when I wasn't present, Dana had said something along the lines of, wishing she could find a man like yours, because she would never know what it feels like to be genuinely wanted and appreciated. My wife made a bad decision, and in trying to comfort her friend, suggested treating me more like a boyfriend than just a good friend. Nothing physical, just support, comfort, and validation for a little while, to get an idea of what to look for in a man. Dana said she was fine with that, but when she started to receive it from me, she wanted more and more, and began crossing boundaries to get it, the lap-sitting, that kind of stuff. I asked my wife about it, and she said it caught her by surprise, but didn't exactly make her uncomfortable with her friend. It was actually the mention of Dana wanting a ring that finally made her realize this was getting out of control. My wife said she realized she messed up, but didn't want to say anything to me about it. I explained to both of them very thoroughly how ridiculous this entire thing is, how there were better ways we all could have helped, and how this could have destroyed friendships and marriages. They should have come to me, and we all could have figured out ways to help each other together. There were apologies from both parties. Dana is still our friend, and she will be coming over in a few days, so we can discuss how she can potentially work on herself and identify things to look for in men she may be interested in dating. My wife is very sorry to both Dana and me about the entire thing. So in the end, my wife made a mistake that she is remorseful for, has learned from, and will come out better for. Dana will have help working on herself and building towards a healthier future. And then there's me, tired, and I want a beer LOL. Thank you again everyone for your kind words and advice. I'm sorry if this isn't the outcome you hoped for, /thought, /predicted, but life is unpredictable, and I'm glad this is over. Holy crap, 3 people handling a situation like adults who make mistakes. and genuinely want to love and care for each other in a respectful way and are committed to honesty and growth? Wild. Who'da thought, lol. Next story. Am I the a-hole making my girlfriend cut off her new male friend because she made me cut off a female friend? A couple of years back, I made friends with a new coworker. She was pretty cool. At first, my girlfriend didn't have a problem with this, but she got uncomfortable with how much time my new friend and I spent gaming. Admittedly, it was a bit much. My girlfriend straight up told me she wouldn't continue the relationship if I continued the friendship. Honestly, looking back, I kind of regret it, but whatever. Recently, my girlfriend met a new guy friend, and this friendship has made me uncomfortable. They don't hang out alone as far as I know, but they do drink together, which makes me uncomfortable. So I told my girlfriend this, and she tried to reassure me, but it didn't change how I felt. I brought up what she told me years ago, and my old female friend. She told me she was very sorry for what she did. She said that our relationship was still pretty new back then and that she didn't fully trust me. She told me that if this happened today, she wouldn't have asked me to cut off that friendship. FYI, I couldn't get in touch with my old coworker even if I tried, so that friendship is gone forever. I told my girlfriend fine, but regardless, if she wants me to stick around, she needs to cut off that friendship. I told her it's extremely messed up for her to claim she had changed her mind now, after I had to make a sacrifice. I told her I wanted to believe her, but she had to prove to me that she's not just saying this now because it benefits her. She did agree to this half-heartedly. I don't know, I'd never have given her an ultimatum like this before, and it felt wrong to be honest. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Her changing her mind based on time having passed, and which she is totally lying about by the way, is irrelevant. At its heart, she was uncomfortable with something, and you cut that friendship to ease her feelings. You are now uncomfortable with something that is a current, active, and real fact, regardless of her stance, and it's time for her to reciprocate the respect for your feelings or leave. Respect in relationships should go both ways. If she asked for your sacrifice then, she should honor your boundaries now. Not the a-hole. None of this rules for me and not for thee crap. Yeah, there may be an argument that the relationship is in a different place, but personally, I'd say in this case that's a deflection, given she's out drinking with him, which is much more intimate than gaming. Maybe she's cranky because she refuses to admit she was wrong. Maybe she is into the guy, and you'll probably know that soon if she's trying to monkey branch. We probably can't tell you which with any degree of accuracy. Though none of them are a good look, reasoning will decide if this is a relationship killer or not. But I would have zero tolerance for this hypocrisy. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to cook for my girlfriend anymore because she is a picky eater? I, 32 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 30 female, for about 6 months now. We get along great, we have a lot of fun together, we have deep conversations, and honestly, I see potential long-term, maybe even marriage and kids. For background, my mom is a professional chef. She worked in fancy restaurants her whole life, and at home, I'd always help her out in the kitchen. I grew up eating and making all kinds of dishes, Indian, Asian, Middle Eastern, American, etc. I enjoy exploring different cuisines and experimenting with flavors. My girlfriend, however, eats like a 7-year-old on a chicken nugget diet. She doesn't eat beef, pork, or fish, only chicken. She doesn't eat most greens unless they're in a burger and the texture isn't noticeable. No mushrooms, no beans, etc. No sauces with weird stuff, like anything with visible onions, garlic, etc. No spicy food, no creamy textures, no stews, nothing too chewy, too saucy, or that might have a funky smell. You get the idea. So for the past 6 months, I've been cooking almost exclusively chicken every time she comes over. And even then, she might not eat it. I once made a creamy chicken dish with asparagus in the sauce, and she raised her eyebrows in disgust. Honestly, this is killing my love for cooking. I'm sick of eating chicken all the time. I swear I'm gonna start clucking soon and lay an egg. I've tried to compromise. I asked her if she'd be open to trying new stuff slowly, or letting me make a dish where I could prepare her version and sneak in some small extra ingredients just to get her used to other flavors. But nope, she refused the idea. So I finally told her that if she's not willing to budge, I'm not going to keep cooking meals that only she enjoys. I'll still make something we can both eat every now and then, sure, but most days I'm going to cook what I actually enjoy. And if that doesn't work for her, she's welcome to bring her own groceries, and I can guide her to cook her own meal, or she can order takeout. That's when she got really upset. She went off saying, "You knew I don't eat most things from the start, so why drag this relationship on for 6 months if it was such a burden?" I said, "I knew you were picky, but I didn't realize how much. Your list of no keeps getting bigger." I told her it's not the end of the world, and we can make separate meals, but I just won't be cooking a separate meal just for her. She said she doesn't like to cook, and that I'm being inconsiderate and a bad boyfriend for not cooking a separate meal for her, because I'm somewhat of a chef, and I enjoy it. I said no, I don't want it to become a norm that I always cook 2 separate meals, because that's just extra work and unfair to me. Now she's upset, saying I'm selfish and uncaring, and that if I really loved her, I wouldn't make a fuss about this. Also, don't even get me started on picking restaurants. That's a whole other rant I won't get into. Just know it's a nightmare. So, am I the a-hole? When someone plays the "if you really loved me" card, that's when I realize I don't. So long, bye, see ya. Yes, passive-aggressive language. It's called out in the gentle art of verbal self-defense. She needs to go to the curb, now. You're not compatible. This exactly. It's obvious OP really enjoys food and trying and tasting food in general. And for those of us who do, it's one of life's great pleasures and adventures. And so much fun to share that with someone who enjoys it too. This will definitely continue to wear down the relationship. Move on. This, and as someone who enjoys cooking for the people she loves, it genuinely hurts when I pour my time, attention, and effort into preparing a delicious meal for someone I care for, just to have them treat it as if it's disgusting. That really starts to impact the relationship after a while as well. One of my family members is married to someone like your girlfriend. My family member is no chef, but she does enjoy all kinds of foods. Her husband is about as picky as your girlfriend. No veggies, no chunks of anything in spaghetti sauce, because those mean veggies, no sauces, etc. They had 3 kids, 2 with food allergies. There was a time when she was making up to 5 different meals. It's one thing to do it for your kids, and because they can't eat common things, corn, soy, gluten, etc. But then, she had her husband saying he wouldn't eat the gluten-free versions of anything because they looked different. And yes, the battle over restaurants. I know it. Every restaurant has to have things like chicken tenders, or the ability to desauce everything, make it all plain, or you won't go. This could be your life. People are obviously allowed to eat what they want, like what they want, but if she is already fighting with you about cooking for her, it's going to be a long road.